Hey everybody, this is Jeff the Zymologist, back again for another whiskey review. We're going to stick with the bourbon because today at work, this is right after St. Patty's Day. This is the Monday after St. Patty's Day. St. Patrick's Day was Thursday last week. And about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was at lunch walking in Meijer, my local grocery store. Although it's not that local, they're kind of a bigger chain now. But anyway, I digress. So walking down, just decided to swing by and see if there were any whiskeys I could not live without. Ran into a guy from work that I rarely talk to, and we struck up a great conversation. Of course, I had just gotten back from the Kentucky Bourbon Trail doing all these bourbon distilleries, and we were starting to talk about Irish whiskeys and Scotch whiskeys and things like that. Flash forward to let's see, Thursday last week for St. Patrick's Day. He was looking for a good Irish whiskey, so I recommended to him Kelbegan, which is one of my favorite Irish whiskeys, other than maybe Powers Gold Label. And so today I'm just chatting up with someone outside the break room, and Eric walks up to me and says, "Hey, I got a hot tip for you." Saturday he went into Conn's Liquors down on Keystone in Indianapolis, and just so happened to find on the shelf one bottle of Stagg Jr. So he went up to the front desk and up to the counter and talked with the guy working the front counter. He said, "Yeah, we got 2 cases, so 12 bottles total, and I only put them out one at a time and limit it to 1 per customer per day." So Eric talked to me this morning and said that he was going to run down and grab a second bottle today at lunch because he needed to go to the hardware store that was right nearby anyway. And I said, "Great." So I called ahead, set it up. Eric was kind enough to go ahead and pick it up for me so I could get my own bottle of Stagg Jr. I almost said George T. Stagg because that's Buffalo Trace Antique Collection. And the George T. Stagg is exceptionally rare. But Stagg Jr. is just an uncut, unfiltered, very robust bourbon. This thing weighs in at 129.7 proof. So that's 64.85% alcohol by volume. I haven't even opened this yet. You can still see the on top there's a little rack, and on the back, and we got a little right up here. Explains who George T. Stagg was. And I'm just going to go ahead and crack this bad boy open. I've never seen, handled, touched a bottle of this ever before in my life, so this is particularly interesting. As I said, it's not a part of the Buffalo Trace Antique Collection, but it is one of the harder bourbons of theirs to find. Each year, of course, everyone knows of Pappy Van Winkle, which is released in roughly November each year, October, November, sometimes into December. Well, this is released a couple of times, and it's the type of thing where, as the best I can describe it is, you never know when it's going to show up. I know people that work at liquor stores, and they will buy a bunch of stuff from Buffalo Trace and get a big shipping box, and much like the toy at the bottom of a cereal box, you might find a case of 6 bottles of something like this. So this is interesting. The cap, as I showed you, the foil has this little rack. Well, so does the stopper. One of these days I'm going to get used to the mirror image on my laptop monitor and figure this out and be able to not be so clumsy with it. It is a dark, almost an oxblood like brownish burgundy color. So, whew. Well, yeah, it's going to be a hot one. You know, at almost 130 proof. Oh, man. Alright, well, that was way too much. I should not have done that. That's going to be irresponsible of me to waste such a fine whiskey. This small amount might get me drunk because I know that this is going to be a heavy hitter. Right away, you got some orange, copper, dark brown color to this. Quite clear. Smelling it, I can definitely smell the alcohol coming through. I get some vanilla and that oaky aroma, but also some citrus and floral tones, and citrus like a little orange peel, floral like almost like fresh flowers, and it's very intoxicating. I mean, I might just be getting a head rush from smelling in all the alcohol vapors and sniffing those in, but I'm just gonna give this a shot here. Wow. Alright, a lot going on here. First, I got a very delicate vanilla sort of caramel coating on my tongue. Once it goes past the tip of my tongue and then more into the mid palate, I'm just like walloped with cinnamon, nutmeg, clove, those sorts of intense spices. And on the back of the tongue too, that spiciness carries over. It's warm on the tongue. It's not super hot as I would have expected. Pretty warm going down. Again, this is 130 proof, approximately. My tongue is still tingling. I noticed something too whenever I went to take a sip. I breathed in a little bit through my mouth and I got a totally different flavor profile off the vapors. Well, unfortunately, my tongue is kind of numb from sipping that whiskey twice there, but I mean, it's an intoxicating aroma. Surprisingly, it's not as hot and as brutal as I expected it to be, being 130 proof. Wow. Well, I hope all of you can go out and get yourselves a bottle of this. Again, it's 129.7 proof, barrel proof, unfiltered whiskey. I'd love for everyone to be able to try this, and you know, hopefully you guys can go out and find a bottle for yourselves. If not, let me know. And you know, if you get me a few supporters, if you have a few people subscribe to the YouTube channel, and go ahead and share this up. Give me a thumbs up if you like it. If not, go ahead and tweet at the ZymBlog. Let me know. And you know, if you get me a couple of followers, we'll go ahead and I'll set up a private whiskey tasting for you one of these days. As you can see behind me, I have a great bar set up with right here by my right thumb, a Ron Swanson bobblehead, and a giant Darth Vader Pez dispenser that actually makes this breathing sound whenever you open it up to pull out a package of Pez. Oh yeah, and there's also a lot of great whiskeys in that cabinet too. Countless bottles of very primo stuff, and then some stuff that's, well, not so great. Hey, variety's the spice of life, right? So again, thank you very much for sharing, for following, and for subscribing. That would help us out a lot. And I'm going to go ahead and park my butt on the couch and enjoy the rest of this whiskey, because if I don't, I may wake up at 3 in the morning sitting right here in front of the computer. So again, thanks everybody. Slanja, enjoy your whiskey.